Hello learners, welcome back to the course on learning and development in organization. Today we'll try to set the tone, set the context of learning and development specifically. So we have started discussing about learning, we have tried to understand what learning is, we have tried to underscore the relevance of learning and development in organization. Today we'll try to set the context of learning and development, and this will be the part 1 of that attempt. I'm Dr. Abraham Cyril Issac. I'm an assistant professor at the School of Business, Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. Now, when you talk about learning and development specifically as the key to peak performance, this is the quote I hope you would have already seen in the introductory video also. An organization's ability to learn and translate that learning into action rapidly is the ultimate competitive advantage. Now, this would be the underlying theme today specifically, and across the entire course, I'm trying to reinforce this particular thought. When we look into the role of learning and development specifically, let's start with why L&D matters. Learning and development is particularly important with respect to individual growth, and all those individual growth combined together will definitely bring in a certain level of compounding effect to the organization, and the organization will eventually have the required or the desired growth. Let's understand this in more systematic way. When you are looking into L&D, it is crucial for employee growth. As I mentioned, it is critical for retention and engagement. That said, L&D is a cornerstone of organizational success, particularly playing a pivotal role in the employee growth. So, in today's rapidly evolving business landscape, organizations face constant disruption, specifically due to technological advancements or shifting consumer preferences, global competition, etc. So, to remain competitive, you need to have learning and development specifically. So, when you talk about employee retention specifically, you talk about growth, you talk about engagement, we are specifically mentioning about L&D programs that provide employees with opportunities to acquire new skills, advance their careers, and achieve personal and professional goals. So this fosters a sense of accomplishment and purpose. Many a time, individuals within an organization lose out on this sense of accomplishment and purpose. We specifically look for growth. Sometimes we do not think of retention. If a person is good, he might find another job and he may go. That would be the thought process sometimes within the organization. We also sometimes do not take care of engagement part. When you look into retention, employees are more likely to stay with organization specifically that invest in their development. So this statistic underscores the importance of L&D in reducing the turnover cost. So this is directly related to this. And when you talk about engagement, engaged employees undoubtedly are more productive, they are innovative and committed to their work. So L&D initiatives typically, if you ask me, create a culture of continuous learning, which keeps employees motivated and aligned with the organizational goals. So typically, if you ask me, businesses with a strong learning culture are 92% more likely to develop novel products and processes. And this is according to Deloitte's 2022 report, which typically states the importance or underscores the importance of learning culture. Now let's look into why L&D matters specific to competitive advantage. When you talk about organizations that prioritize L&D gain a significant edge over competitors. Let's understand it with examples. The first one is Google. You talk about Google. Google is known for its robust L&D programs like G2G, Googler to Googler, peer-to-peer. Google empowers employees to teach and learn from one another. So this peer-to-peer learning model typically fosters innovation. It fosters collaboration, helping maintain its leadership in technology and AI. Another significant example would be that of Amazon. When you look into Amazon, Amazon's career choice program offers employees up to 5,250 USD annually, I think, to pursue education in high demand fields, even if those fields are unrelated to their current roles. This is the significance of value addition that an organization is capable to bring in the life of an employee. So this investment typically in employee development not only enhances workforce capabilities, but if you ask me, it has also the power to strengthen, in this case, Amazon's reputation as an employer of choice. So it is not only from the employee side. People will be always happy to work for organizations like Amazon if it is actually bringing out such characteristics. Now let's look into alignment with organizational goals. For L&D to be effective, it must align with organization's strategic objectives. When L&D programs are designed to support broader business goals, they become a powerful tool specifically for driving the performance, for innovation and transformation, as we have seen. So if you look into alignment with the organization goals, you have improved productivity, you have training programs that focus on process optimization, sometimes time management and even technical skills can directly enhance the employee productivity. There can be also a possibility of enhanced customer service. You look into learning and development initiatives that emphasize communication, emphasize empathy and problem-solving skills that can improve customer satisfaction and typically thereby bring loyalty to picture. We also do have a drive of digital transformation, or driving digital transformation as organizations adopt new technologies. L&D ensures employees are prepared to leverage these tools effectively. Now let's have a practical understanding of what we have learned just now with respect to a case study of IBM's Think Academy. When you talk about IBM's shift towards cloud computing and artificial intelligence, it required a workforce capable of understanding and implementing these cutting-edge technologies. So, to address this need, IBM launched the Think Academy, which is an internal L&D platform designed to educate employees about the company's strategic priorities and emerging technology. So, what was the outcome was that it enabled IBM to navigate digital disruption and maintain its leadership in the cloud and AI technologies and AI solutions specifically. So, by aligning L&D with its strategic goals, IBM has successfully navigated the challenges of digital disruption while maintaining its competitive edge. We also do have to understand that when you look into the world of statistics, a study by ATD, Association for Talent Development, found that the companies that offer comprehensive training programs enjoy 218% higher income per employee than that which does not, than those that don't. So please understand the significant increase or the underscoring relevance of training and learning specifically. Similarly, we have another instance where you will see that PwC's Global Workforce Hopes and Fears Survey, 77% of workers are ready to learn new skills or completely retrain to remain employable in the future. So this highlights the growing demand for L&D initiatives that prepare employees for the jobs of tomorrow. So what we understand from this practical case study, specifically with respect to ATD, the data that has been come up with Association for Talent Development, please note 218% is a very significant percentage. So this shows the relevance of learning and development. Similarly, we also do understand that a large pool of individuals are keen on bringing more importance and more relevance, and they are more keen on getting into topics that even might not serve directly for their job. So this is what Amazon was rewarding. This is specifically what we have to understand. An employer, if they are rewarding you for your quest to know more, quest to gain more knowledge, rather than they might not be directly seeing a direct connotation or a direct correlation with their work, but still they are paying, they are investing in you because they feel that you are the potential, you are the people who actually try to make this organization great. So that is the level of commitment some of the employers, some of the best employers put in their employee workforce generally. So this is what you have to understand, which underscores the learning and development. Now let's look into some of the key drivers influencing L&D strategies specifically. No doubt technological advancements gets the primacy. You talk about technological advancements demanding continuous upskilling and reskilling for employees to stay competitive. You might look into your own organization or wherever you are associated with. You will see that a decade ago, if you have quite an experience, let's say a decade plus experience, you will see that what all systems, what all processes were possible maybe a decade ago is not happening right now. An example from my practical point of view as a power plant engineer is I have seen that a drastic shift from the SCADA systems to everything being automated, all the operations happening in a real-time way with just control in your operations room, just with your computer mouse, etc. So it has become so easy. It has become so easy that even a fifth standard kid can actually operate it. But the technology behind that might be complex. But you see that the technological advancements, we have to be up to date with what is happening, at least in our work, in our job. So you look into AI and automation, you look into data analytics, you get the picture. The reason why you are learning or how you are learning, how it got facilitated, the e-learning platforms. Virtual reality is another world. Gamification, introducing gamified elements in learning, which we had a small cursory discussion on the previous session. We see there has been a drastic change in technology, and one who does not adapt to that, one who does not get hold of the changing technology might see that they have no role in the present organization. Another driver is the changing workforce dynamics. Typically, if you ask me, millennials, Gen Z, hybrid work, new work contracts, thanks to COVID, all the things are changing. There has been some generational shifts. I am trying to bring up a specified short-term training program, how to handle generational shifts in organization. But specifically, millennials and Gen Z prioritize flexible, they prioritize tech-driven and personalized learning because of the individualistic sense that is prevailing now. India, though it is a collectivistic culture, we are learning quickly from the West about the individualism and the possibilities that individualism will bring in. So all these aspects point to, in learning and development, towards personalized learning and reshaping the existing L&D strategies. We also see remote and hybrid work getting high attention nowadays. Virtual training, AI-driven personalization, collaborative platforms, they are key to modern workforce development. You see that everywhere people are interested in bringing out this hybrid work. People who are otherwise not very much comfortable with online work, they are also preferring it. They have understood that this is a mechanism, this is an option, this is a possibility whereby they can always be engaged in the work and can also have a balance with their family. So work-life balance has got a different definition, different meaning altogether. We also see some of the drivers as economic and market pressures. Let's understand this. When you look into economic and market pressures, you see that there are targeted learning and development programs that typically help organizations to stay competitive amid the global competition and economic uncertainty. You can always typically refer to the pandemic response we had. Accenture's new Applied Now program upskilled employees in cloud, in cybersecurity and digital marketing specifically. So global competition and economic uncertainty have intensified the need for organizations to optimize their talent through targeted L&D efforts. Companies that invest in employee development are better positioned to adapt to market changes and maintain a competitive advantage. Another significant factor would be talent optimization. What we understand with respect to talent optimization is that in industries like, let's say, IT and consulting, where competition for skilled professionals is fierce, learning and development plays a vital role, a crucial role in attracting and retaining top talent. So, you look into companies like Google and Microsoft offer extensive certification programs to enhance employee expertise and loyalty. So, when you talk about the drivers, we should also acknowledge and appreciate regulatory and the compliance requirements. You know, when you are looking into industries such as, say, healthcare, or something like finance and manufacturing, they are subject to strict regulations, making compliance training a cornerstone of their L&D strategy. So failure to comply with these regulations can result in legal penalties, reputational damage, and operations. So let's look into healthcare. Hospitals and clinics must adhere to what we see as the HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. I repeat, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. So these regulations, which require regular training on patient privacy and data security. Then coming to finance, you have banks and financial institutions which must comply with anti-money laundering AML laws, necessitating ongoing training for employees on fraud detection and ethical practices. We also do have manufacturing. You know, you look into safety regulations enforced by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, mandate rigorous training programs to prevent workplace accidents. So these are some of the critical examples in front of you. Now let's look into how we can design effective training programs, effective learning and development programs. Designing effective learning and development programs is a systematic process that ensures the learning initiatives align with organizational goals, the learner needs, and deliver measurable outcomes. So we try to see it from different angle. We call it the ADDIE model. So we start with the analyze factor. The purpose would be to identify the problem or skills gap the L&D program addresses. So basically, if you have attended my NPTEL course AI in HRM, you will see that I have extensively talked about this ADDIE model with respect to our discussions in AI, how it is coming big time. Coming back to our discussion here, the key activities would be to conduct a needs assessment to understand organizational, team, and individual learning requirements. So gather data through surveys, interviews, performance reviews, and focus groups specifically. So if an organization, as an example I'm telling, identifies a skill gap in digital marketing, specifically, the analysis phase will determine whether employees need training in SEO, search engine optimization, or is it social media marketing, or is it any other analytical tools. Now we look into the deep factor, design. When you look into the purpose of this, it is all about creating a blueprint for the learning program based on the insights from analysis phase. So we look into typical aspect whereby we can define objectives. Set of clear learning objectives can be defined that specify what learners should achieve by the end of the program. We can also choose appropriate instructional strategies. Let's say we look into lecture, we look into case studies, or we look into simulations, whatever be the case be. Select the delivery methods. Is it online? Is it in person? Is it blended learning? Let's plan for the resources, the timelines, the budget allocation. So an example would be Let's say for a leadership development program, the design phase might include creating modules on emotional intelligence, as you can see, decision making or conflict resolution. So these are some of the possible aspects when we talk about design. Then we come to develop. The purpose being build the actual content and materials for the program. So when you look into the activities, you can create instructional materials. It could be, presentations, it could be videos or e-learning modules or even handouts. So basically these would be the general content. Collaborate with the SMEs, subject matter experts, who ensure accuracy and relevance, and test prototypes with a small group of learners to refine the content. As an example, developing a micro learning module on, let's say, any topic, be it time management, might involve creating short videos, quizzes and downloadable checklist basically. Now we move on to the next element, which is implement. The purpose here is to deliver the program to the target audience. There is no doubt about it. The activities are interesting. Roll out the program using the chosen delivery methods. It could be workshops, it could be webinars, self-paced online courses. It provides support to learners and facilitators during implementation, monitor participation and engagement to ensure smooth execution. So a company might implement, as an example, a compliance training specifically. A compliance training which typically can be hosted by some mandatory virtual sessions for all employees typically. So this is yet again another significant aspect of the ADDIE framework. And finally, we move on to evaluate. Evaluate basically is all about assessing the effectiveness of the program and identify the areas of importance specifically. So when you talk about the key activities, I would request you to bring the discussions that we had in the previous session with respect to, Kirkpatrick's levels of evaluation. So when you look into Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation, the reaction, learning, behavior, results, to measure outcomes, we can collect feedback from participants and stakeholder, analyze performance metrics to determine if the program achieved its objectives. So let's say, as an example, after a sales training program, evaluate whether participants' sales performance improved and whether they applied the new techniques in real-world scenario altogether. So these are the typical aspects concerning the ADDIE framework specifically. Now, when we look into the modes of learning in organization, we have different types of modes of learning in organization. We have just introduced this to you in module 1. We'll be going in little detail here. The first one typically will be OJT, on the job training. When you are looking into on the job training, employees learn while performing the regular task under supervision. So there are certain critical advantages. There are certain critical advantages of this being practical, cost effective, or even directly applicable to the work. Then we have coaching. When you talk about on-the-job training, let's say a new sales representative shadows an experienced colleague to learn client interaction skills. That's OJT specifically, ladies and gentlemen. When you talk about coaching and mentoring, one-on-one guidance provided by a coach or a mentor to develop specific skills or competencies. So again, this will have certain specialized advantages, like it can be personalized, it can foster long-term growth, or it can build relationships. So coaching is yet another significant factor whereby all these factors can be obtained. And then we come to another mode, which is simulation. We talk about You talk about coaching and mentoring, an example could be a junior manager receiving coaching on leadership skills from a senior executive. So, as I mentioned, it could be personalized or it could have long-term perspective, long-term growth, or it could build relationships. That is what makes coaching interesting. When it comes to simulations are nothing but realistic scenarios that mimic workplace challenges, allowing learners to practice decision making in a safe environment. So when you look into simulation, there is no doubt it enhances critical thinking and prepares learners for high stake situations. So that is the beauty of simulation. Many a time we cannot make use of the existing resources to conduct high stake training programs or learning programs. So then we have to resort to simulations. Let's say pilots using flight simulators to practice emergency procedures without risking life can be a very good example of simulations. Then we have online courses, something what you are doing right now. It is self-paced or instructor-led learning delivered via digital platforms. Most probably it might be asynchronous, but there might be also some self-paced or instructor-led learning delivered via digital platforms. So the importance or the advantages would be it is flexible, it is scalable. How many people can actually access this particular course. That's the beauty of this particular platform of NPTEL. So an organization using an LMS, learning management system, to deliver cybersecurity training to remote employees can be an example of online courses. And finally, we have blended learning. We talk about blended learning. It combines multiple methods such as in-person workshops and online modules. So what we have is a balance between flexibility and hands-on experience. So what flexibility we have here, similarly we have it here also, but with hands-on experience. So something that was missing in the online course is obtained with blended learning. A leadership program which includes virtual lectures, face-to-face discussions and role-playing exercise are typically factors that contribute or aspects that contribute towards blended learning. So in this particular session, I tried to bring to you certain drivers that actually influence the learning and development program. And most importantly, we have looked into the ADDIE framework. We have looked into the typical possibilities that each of these segment in the framework brings in. And finally, we concluded with different modes of learning and development. We'll discuss more of this in the coming module, but I would like to emphasize on one thing. You are the right person. You are the right person to understand and make a choice. Let's say your organization requires more of on-the-job training, then you should not shy away from giving the required on-the-job training. If your organization, on the other hand, is more on a remote location, then you would prefer online training, or you would also like to give some level of hands-on experience, then a blended learning would be a better approach. So it is not the workforce which defines the aspect. It is the work, the task in hand that requires, that defines, that establishes what mode of training, what mode of learning is required. So please make a note of that understanding. That should be the key takeaway from this particular session. We'll come up with more details of learning and development in the next class. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.